right, this is BIC episode 138. And Brandon, Eric, I got to be honest with you. I'm thinking that one of these days we got to make sure the people at the Patreon exclusive get a chance to hear a lot of the pre-show comments because then they can find out about mistakes, filet mignon, Lego tables, and 2000 Durangos that can shoot laser beams. You miss out on all that if you don't go to the Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, I think people really think that we script and set out an idea of what the show is going to be about. No, we just BS about everything else, and then Carlos is like, "Oh, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer." That's about
I,
it,
sh- I
and
should.
then we're here.
Eric, Eric, if we ever do have a Patreon exclusive, though, I'm just gonna start the recording early, and then all the bullshit that happens before the official recording. There you go. There's your Patreon exclusive. You're gonna learn so much.
They
But
will
anyway,
want their money back.
or they'll want to pay us double.
That's possible.
Listen. How else are we gonna have a filet mignon? I'm just saying. More that and more on the Patreon exclusive. Anyway, so for this episode, we're gonna do a little bit of a follow up. It is the National Week, like Shark Week, but lamer. None of us are going to the National. However, there will be 5 trillion videos of the National. We'll sift through some of that stuff ahead of time here. We'll do a little bit of comments based on last week's. And this particular week on the channel is also very good. So I want to chat on that a little bit. We'll actually showcase a couple of cards that came in for a couple of us. And then also talk a little bit about basically what the plan is for the next little bit. So there's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag of different things. And if we're really lucky, we'll find out about 2000 Durangos with laser beams. I'm not promising that, but it's at least in play. That and more on this episode of BIC Podcast. Under the watchful eye of Brett Favre, we're here once again. Eric, if I didn't think it was bougie enough, I've this pre-show conversation managed to out bougie even my cinnamon pancake, which by the way was great. Like if you all enjoyed on the Friday conversation, the cinnamon pancake, wow, chef's kiss. I'm still thinking about it to this very day. Like it was a wonderful moment in time. I really enjoyed it.
Get another one because you know
No, I can't, Eric. I can't. We could feed a village. We could literally feed a village. And imagine, Eric, we talked about this on Friday. Imagine if someone had the audacity to lead with it with the cup of maple syrup, the diabetes.
the
Oh,
diet.
diabetes. It's too much. That you can see, even without the Patreon exclusive. You can check out the last live stream because I do talk about that. And you should see the bro's face when it all went. Like the bro was engrossed. He was engrossed. It was quite.
Did he question whether it was actually a pancake though? Because we know
He did. He did a little bit, but I don't know. It very much is a pancake.
Tell him about my son's birthday party coming up. He's turning 34 or 35. I don't remember, but we're getting ice cream cake.
Yes,
It has been ordered.
Yeah.
Pictures will be taken and sent.
Amazing, sensational. I love it. Fabulous. So yes, we've got quite a bit of that. So we'll talk about the silly card of the week. Is that you people did the right thing? I'm just letting you know in advance. You did the right thing. We will have a new silly card of the week candidate though, and we'll talk about that. So first thing, I want to start off kind of recapping. So first, I'll start off recapping last week's episode because a lot of you had comments on it. So appreciate the comments and the engagement. That is basically like we talk about it, and Brandon and Eric and myself kind of speak on it. It is helpful because it number one tells us what's resonating with you, what takeaways you're getting from it. It also gives us, and also lets us go back and forth. Like we actually enjoy the back and forth a little bit. I know Brandon pops in there, Eric pops in there from time to time, also in the comment section. So if you've got any thoughts on it, whether you agree or disagree with us, doesn't matter. It's still good to see kind of where people's heads are at on this stuff. So last week we were talking about the Hobby Palooza recap, but also the autograph scandal, which Big Bri, old BG, was very, very impassioned in his podcast episode. If you want to skip 45 minutes, he basically says BS on the total and then tries to do the maths, and then Eric's mind explodes.
I didn't like that part.
Yeah. So basically, it took a really long time just to explain that he thinks the numbers are overblown. That was his point.
I also think that, but
yeah, which is fine. But the reality, though, but the thing is, on our show, I said even if it was 1/10, it's still a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
like the specifics. I don't really. I'm not getting caught up, Brandon, in the specifics. I don't really care. Like that part is less concerning. But the idea, the concept of it,
too much.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. It's like whatever. But regardless, like there'll always be questions. And our takeaway was the only way you can be 100% sure is if it's signed right in front of your face. That stands. That remains true, regardless of the rest of it. Still a good conversation. We enjoyed it. So Zach here's first on blog says, it wasn't that long ago that I realized people just sign stuff and no one has witnessed it. Like cards, don't they get the sticker sent to them and sign it? A rep from Panini is watching people sign stuff, which is kind of what we talked about. So we actually have no idea who is signing this stuff. It was Eric.
Oh,
Take a famous signature. I always think about Mickey Mantle. It's kind of amazing to me that someone couldn't practice the autograph hours a day. They could literally sign the name and no one would know the difference, which we kind of talked about there as far as that piece is concerned. Start out tracing it, watch videos of the player signing, how they move their hand just to replicate it until you can naturally sign it. Again, Eric. Brian North. This thought a little off the wall. Actually, let me skip to the second one because he had two comments. One of them was a little suggestion. I responded to that. Let me read the other one though. I think what the Gong Show guys were saying, or at least how we interpret it, was that AI could be used by bad actors to program auto pens to create slight variations and eliminate the too perfect auto. So I think we talked about that, and kind of the thing is, it can be kind of both ends of it. But the thing is, one of the ones that a lot of people, not just them, but a lot of people talk about the idea of technology to analyze the signatures. And the point that we were making was that that's fine, but the problem is variations is normal. So having a system look for anomalies, that's great. But unless the anomalies are this matches perfectly to an existing known auto pen or an existing known like fake, then everything else in terms of variations doesn't really help you. The knowing there's a variation, so well, Eric, if you're signing normally, a real person is signing, there should be variation. That's required. So then the question is, how much variation is okay? And I can't answer that question.
and listen, I just did a signing with Jeremy Swayman, the Boston Bruins goalie. This what days? Yesterday. I did it yesterday.
Yeah. And by the way, if you check out Sanderson Sonora on Instagram, you can find out that Jeremy Swayman is 12 feet tall.
He is very tall and skinny. But here, just as an example, this is his autograph. I had him sign a Young Guns card. Okay, that's his autograph. Hush shit. Absolute joke of an autograph. Nice kid, like him a lot. Great hockey player. Hush shit autograph. Anyone can copy this. And let me tell you, we had him sign until his arm fell off. That was just for us. Then the public came in, right? And so he's just throwing this J with a hook and a 1 on it over and over again. And I'm telling you, it changed. It changes all. It's not exactly the same every time, especially when it comes to pressure points. Sometimes the hook and the J, he's barely touching the paper, and there's like it's missing. You know, like the pen comes up and then it comes back down, right? So there's like a big missing piece in the J. I had to pull a bunch of those out, and they're pretty much useless. Because who the hell wants that? You know, the hook part. You know, sometimes it goes further, sometimes he doesn't. You know, on the whatever the hell this is here. You know, this part. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. There was so many different variations of a simple J and a little swoosh at the end, and a number 1. And anybody can duplicate that. It is much harder to duplicate Wayne Gretzky's, Mickey Mantle's, you know, Bobby Hull. I'm looking around, just looking at stuff, you know.
But the funny thing, though, is even as you say that, Mickey Mantle is one of the most counterfeited autographs out there. And there's tons.
But it's much harder where these guys actually spelt their name, right? Listen, you can go to a kindergartner's art class, and by the end of class, every kid in the class can do this.
Are you sure you had Jeremy Swayman there?
Okay, so
I just wanted to show, if you just looped the J over, I have the same autograph, but this is James Wood. So
exactly, right?
Was Jeremy Swayman actually there?
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe he was there. I don't know. Maybe they switched places. I mean, that's how ridiculous it's become. It's very frustrating. He was paid. I'm not going to discuss how much we paid him. We paid him a very, very fair market rate. That the three of us would do anything for, just to be able to put our names on something and get that kind of cash.
Look, speak for yourself. Some people had filet mignon with Chardonnay on a Lego table. Some of us can live that kind of an extravagant lifestyle. I won't say who.
I won't say
some of us can.
Some of us can't. So and listen, again, he's a great kid, right? And I call him a kid because he literally could be my kid. He's only like 20,
Well, that's more a reflection on you being old, but go on.
and I'm old, right? So that's why I'm
Yes.
calling him a kid.
Truthful.
He's a great kid. He was great with everyone there. He was great with the public. He was great with the dealers. He was great with everybody. He's a great kid. But I sat there going, this is disgusting. And I mean, do you remember the Conor McGregor video? That is probably the most disgusting autograph signing of all time.
The one where so so just for everybody, it was basically he was signing posters and they would just slide the posters in. He barely touched, he'd put a couple of pen strokes there and they'd move on to the next one and just boom, 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 and it was basically nothing.
This was similar.
And it's a good thing you didn't tell it to him in his person because he'd be fee fi fo fum. I'll take you out, bougie mon.
Yeah,
It's like he just reaches you. He might still be able to reach you now from wherever he is.
He's very tall.
I'm just
I'll
saying.
give you a quick. I'm 5'8", and he's very tall.
Oh, Eric, you're so modest. A lot of Brandon. I like his false modesty here. Everybody knows that Eric is 6'7", which tells you how tall Jeremy Swayman is.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
So, anyways, that's what these kids are doing, and Brandon just showed you, proved my point. He just pulled out a baseball card. It's the same damn autograph. So
as soon as I seen it, that's what I thought of. That's why I went and grabbed it real quick.
So you wanted him to get you a James Wood hockey card autograph, just so you could have that as well?
Might as well. So it's so easy to fake these things now. It takes no effort. Where when you were, trying to screw everyone over by writing Mickey Mantle on a baseball, you had to have, you had to put some effort into it. There's no effort involved because the players aren't putting any effort into it. Their autographs change as the show goes along because they're just scribbles. And maybe the pen's not making full contact here. Maybe it's making full contact there. And then it changes on the next one. And, you get 10. I could have pulled 10 of his autographs out yesterday and they all would have been different. Now, we had JSA there. Okay. We had a JSA rep there that stickered everything because he witnessed all of this happen. How JSA, Beckett, PSA can look at things secondhand with their just comparing it to their computer database in an office sitting there holding the baseball or the puck or the 8x10. It's not an exact science and it's not perfect. So just to sum up, just like Carlos has been saying, and I've been saying, and Brandon too, the only way you're going to be 100% is to get it in person. Okay. And if there's an opportunity for someone to throw a sticker on it at the event that witnessed it, that helps. Take pictures of them actually signing the item. Don't get so worked up about, getting your picture taken with them and proving that no, because take a picture of them actually signing the piece. That is the only way you can prove it. You got the sticker, you got the picture, you got the autograph face to face. It's 100%.
Indeed. Next one, Robert Dudek here said, when it comes to autos, I trust Bobbles. He's the only one who personally witnessed in-person autographs of both George Washington and Abe Lincoln. Facts. That is true. Because I'm Carlos responded, that is a valid point that needs to be emphasized.
It was a lot tougher back in the day.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You had to dip it in and had to have the right feather, the right balance.
We had to write it out in the quill. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt. Mike Ham here says, the hobby is full of fakes, but there's nothing about a vintage auto pen. That's what it says. That was the comment.
I don't respond to Ham's comments.
Not anymore, based on legal proceedings.
That's
but nonetheless, right. There it is.
Talk to my lawyer.
Let's go here. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. I know another hockey collector who would want these new pickups of Bobby Orr and Ray Borg. He goes by the name Hodge to Expo and lives in Saugus. Because I'm Carlos responds, Dan from Saugus is a legend! Exclamation point. We thank you all for your correspondence. And some other ones are on there as well. So we try to respond to all the comments. So we do respond to them as we go along. So that was based on last week's episode, which was really good. So a lot of strong ones. So this is kind of leads me into kind of a thought. But before I fully expand into it, I want to mention that obviously the last couple of videos and things this last week have been very good. So we appreciate everybody who are new subscribers, people that came over from Hobbypalooza and checked it out and decided to give it a try for the first time. Join us on the lives. We did notice an uptick in the last couple of lives. Now, I want to talk about why that is, because there is obviously a little bit of it is timing, a little bit of it is the right situation. I did a video with Neo Cards and Comics, the last video that is dropped on this channel. We had a nice conversation on that video, did very well. And there's a number of reasons why that could be the case. Some of them, though, are really down to timing, the right topic, the right situation. You know, you get the right thing on the thumbnail. I don't think it's a coincidence that both I made a video about Peter Steinberg stepping down from SGC with him on the thumbnail, of course, but then also on the live, we put Peter Steinberg on there because we were going to talk about him. Obviously, we didn't talk about him right away. First, we needed to discuss important things like the Cinnabon pancake. You know, priorities. We got, critical things that we need to speak on. However, we did talk about Peter Steinberg stepping down from SGC and other things, of course. So, no clickbait there. We, in fact, did have that conversation as part of the greater conversation. But very strong participation, really good chat. Appreciate everybody that participated in it. So I want to acknowledge that. But we'll talk a little bit about that because I did find this past week very interesting and potentially illustrative of kind of the way this goes, because it comes in waves and sometimes there's a couple of things that all come together and it's just right time, right place. And then this week will be interesting because obviously we got the national. We're going to be inundated with national content here and there. And I always say, and I always like to tease that on this channel, obviously, since we're not going to national, I like to have my annual not national coverage. And that's exactly what it's going to be. We will acknowledge the existence of the national, but since we're not there, we will share stories vicariously through some of these folks. And oftentimes they join us on the live and then give us kind of words from boots on the ground. And thankfully, I'm very proud to say, I was able to indirectly influence a very important piece of content. Jake from 90s B-Ball Cards did create a top 5 comfortable shoes. A piece of content that is so overdue, it hurts. It hurts. Unfortunately, in Chicago, it's not going to be hot enough. Otherwise, we could have gotten the logical follow-up. Top 5 AC units from Chicago.
And or top 5 deodorant products that work.
Also, top 5 Wi-Fi hotspots.
Yeah.
Brandon, top 5 Wi-Fi hotspots, AC units from Chicago. Man, the top 5 lists. The top 5 opportunities are limitless. Praise the content gods.
Body spray, yay or nay?
No.
That right there. Careful. That could be a third rail topic. Easy, Eric. Easy. People get very up in arms about that kind of thing. Settle down. But anyway, all right. First up, before that though, I do want to talk about some pickups. So if you guys have some, you're welcome to share. But before I do, what I'll do is I'll quickly share one. I talked about that poker set, the 2006 Razor poker set, and a couple of ones. I've been picking up some of these. I was able to acquire one of the bigger names that I'd mentioned on this past week, which was really good. So I was able to, so I'll briefly share that here with you. So I was able to make a deal for the Jennifer Tilly. So that's a good one. So obviously she's in the set. She actually has been dating a poker player for many years, Phil Locke. But at the same time, she's been involved. She was even on like a cash game that Poker Go had like a couple of weeks ago. So like she's still kind of around and part of it. But this is from 2006. And obviously she's an actress, so she's known for doing different films on it. I think she was in a Jim Carrey movie. The one is escaping me. Was it maybe Liar Liar or one of those?
Yes.
I forget.
Yes, it was Liar Liar. But she's also steady in The Family Guy playing Bonnie, Joe's wife.
Yeah, and you know what? She was in the Child's Play one, like Bride of Chucky and those ones. Like she was in those. So she's been obviously film credits. Like she's actually a legitimate actress with a whole bunch of credits to her name and everything. But she's also kind of known in the poker world for being a participant in it. So yeah, Showdown Signatures, 2006, Jennifer Tilly. So that was one of them.
Unique voice.
Very much so.
Very unique voice.
So that was one of the bigger names, I'm going to put that in quotation marks, that I needed as part of that checklist. I mentioned Jerry Buss already. That's going to be a big one because obviously he's deceased. Phil Hellmuth is obviously the biggest poker name that I'm still missing on that one. I'll get that one at some point. They have crept up in price. They're not as cheap as they used to be. The Jennifer Tilly one, I was pretty satisfied. I think I got it for $70, which isn't terrible. It's not amazing. But obviously slowly, I think people have started cluing in on that one. But I'm slowly chipping away. I'm working at the set. I'm under, I think I need 9 more. I think it's a 38 card set, and I need 9 more. So I've almost got 30.
When
And I
you're
also was able to pick up an Eric Seidel, so I think I've got 30 now.
when
Yes.
you're going after someone like Jennifer Tilly, you know, in a poker set, you're
Mhm.
not just battling people that are interested in the poker set. You're battling, you know, horror film people with the Bride of Chucky. You're battling Family Guy fans. You know, everything else that she's been in that might be fans of her for her what she's really known for is being an actress. So I'm surprised you only had to pay $70 because the pool of people that would be interested in that is greater than Joe Smith, the poker player.
Mhm. It's true. So I was pretty happy with that result. I think it worked out pretty well. But yeah, so that was another one. So slowly I'm chipping away. I got my different collections, but that's one that I kind of, with the World Series of Poker in the rearview mirror and Michael Mizrachi winning that thing, I was like, maybe I should just get that. Maybe I should chip away at it because some of those folks are getting a little bit tougher. It's not getting easier to pick up those singles. Is there anything you guys wanted to share in the pickups?
I have one that came in the mail, and I'll use
Sure.
it to kind of
Go
touch
for it.
on something that I found interesting lately. But I got the Torrey Smith Topps Chrome Black Refractor. It's out of $2.99 on this particular year. I've been actually going after the black refractors and the Topps paper blacks and then the golds. I have a Ryan Zimmerman gold coming in. However, somehow standard envelope is beating ground advantage in speed right now. So I don't know when I'll get the Zimmerman in, but yeah, been working on those a little bit.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, and since y'all, I keep getting so much shit about the bouginess and this and that, that cost me a pricely sum, all in shipping, card, tax, everything, $4.67.
I just want to point out nobody mentioned your name.
I was gonna say, yeah, that doth protest too much, sir.
So
I
you
did not make allusions
quite
to any
defensive.
specific individual.
You're quite defensive.
Friday night, there was darts being thrown.
Oh, but
Friday night there are darts being thrown at everything.
Yeah, everybody and everything. I mean,
No one shall be spared.
nobody is safe on Friday.
Brandon, normally I would say only the righteous will be spared. Now, in fairness, even on Friday, that still wouldn't protect anybody. But on Friday, there is no one getting spared. There is nothing. No. There's no immunity on Fridays. No,
Nope.
not so much. Mm.
But yeah, it's interesting. I purchased that, and then I had purchased the Zimmerman before that. And on a serious note here, the Zimmerman was shipped out from New Jersey the day before that one was shipped out from New Hampshire. So close proximity of location. And that one came standard envelope. The Zimmerman was shipped ground advantage. And that one arrived Saturday. I still don't have the Zimmerman. So I don't know what the Postal Service is doing right now, but whatever they're doing does not seem appropriate.
Inappropriate. The audacity.
Inappropriatenisms.
I feel there shall be a strongly worded letter.
Allegedly.
I see a
Allegedly.
poor Yelp review being sent.
I can imagine it. It could be huge. So, Eric, anything you want to share in this segment before we move on to Silly Card of the Week?
I think I touched on this I don't have anything since Friday, but one of we had this collection come in, and I get first dibs on everything, and
Yes, first dibs.
First
The
dibs.
old 5-finger discount.
That's not true. Just first dibs.
Allegedly.
And for those who follow the show over the years, know that I'm my daughter and I are huge Kiss fans. Love the Kiss, and we got in these 1978 cards from the original set that was put out. So it's not a full set, but it's a good chunk of the original set. So with a little bit of searching on the eBays, I'm sure I'll be able to build the set. So I mean, I was really excited about that. I thought that was really cool that these were in there. So 1978 Kiss cards, all in, you know, decent condition. No bends, no creases, no, you know, chunks taken out. You know, some roughed up edges and corners and things, but and all in all, in really good shape. You know, so yeah, I was excited about that.
Well,
Going
that'll
through.
tide you over beautifully until 2026. Panini Prism Kiss Chrome.
Oh, that'd be cool. And I also grabbed a bunch of the wax.
The wrappers.
So I got a handful of the wax that went with it. So yeah, so I thought that was kind of a cool pickup. You know, nothing.
The pop culture stuff is fun.
Yeah,
Say,
it can be.
what?
It just is. It's a nice change of pace. There's so much of it out there. It's fun.
Well, just to add to it, just to go with it because it is fun. I also got Superman, the original Superman movie from 70. This is also from 78. This was also in the collection. So, you know, it's one of the earliest movies I saw that had influences on me as a young kid. You know, Christopher Reeve as Superman is still my favorite Superman. The original movie is still my favorite Superman movie. I haven't seen the new one yet. I was asked out on a date by a very special lady to go see the new Superman. So hopefully by next Monday, possibly I might have a movie review and my daughter and I can go and see it. But
So
yeah.
you mentioned Christopher Reeve and
Yep.
the movie that had an impact on you. And did you get into bike riding with a cape on, and his influence toward you falling off the bike a lot?
So Brandon, I don't think he wanted to bring up that that's where the first concussion happened.
No.
He assumed that he could fly, and it didn't
It
work
was
out.
E.T. that did that. Thank you very much. If you remember E.T., I thought my bike could fly up and go past the moon and stuff, and it doesn't.
Eric T went home. It didn't work out. I see how this works out.
Eric T went to the hospital.
He did for the first of many times. Times.
My mother used to joke that there was a room up in the emergency ward at Beverly Hospital with my name on it that was reserved. I was there so often.
Well, what you should have done, look, not to give Kathy ideas at this stage in the game, Brandon, but what should have happened is Kathy should have printed out, whatever, should have printed out like, one of those frequent, like if you go and you get a punch stamp, certain amount of hospital visits, you get one free.
Yeah.
She should have had one of those for you.
Well, I'm still going on a regular basis, so maybe you can tell that to my wife.
Just get some punches. Just get some hole punches. And, listen, you might get a free one in there somewhere. That'd be good.
I'm due. I haven't been in the emergency room in a while. I'm due. They probably miss
always
me.
a dream. I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure they do. They will hear. They speak tales of you. You are a legend. You're almost not Dan from Saugus kind of legendary, but still a legend nonetheless. There you go. So that's a little pickups this week. So that was good. Now we're gonna get the silly card of the week here. Brought to us by our friends at AMG Collectibles, AMGcollectibles.ca, AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. I will be back with the collector, the scallops collector, the people, Steve. And we will be talking, I believe it's going to be Upper Deck MVP. I believe that is a new product. It's going to be Upper Deck MVP. Not a super high-end one. Like if you want a more reasonable box break, they are less expensive. If you want to get into one of the new rookies, they generally offer an opportunity to get them pretty early, and it's inexpensive. It's like in relative terms, again, it is very close. It's not a retail product specifically, but it is close to feeling like a retail product. Even the hobby boxes tend to be the least expensive. Again, we're grading on a curve, right? Things are more expensive than they used to be, but it's not too bad. If you just want to get in on that and you'd like to get one of these rookies cheaper, or one of the early rookies for the year, it's an opportunity. We'll look into it a little. We'll do a little deep dive on it. We'll look at some cards that came in the shop, a lot of the usual thing, and then we'll kind of roll through. As we go into the end of July into August, there'll still be card shows and trade nights, but obviously the month is cycle through, and then we'll keep everybody kind of posted on this stuff as it comes in, especially as we get into the rest of this summer into the fall. But we'll do that. Links in the description to everything, so you feel free to check that one out. And what I want to do is challenge a couple folks. If you do come over from it, I know some folks that watch this and the different things here do come over. Feel free to say hi over there as well, because we always appreciate the comments on that as well. Keeps the guys engaged. Keeps a little bit of fun there. Now, as far as last week's, as I said, you all did the right thing. I'm just letting you know in advance. You did the right thing. We had a good turnout though, 43 votes. So we're starting to creep the votes back up, which is very nice. Appreciate that. We had some nice comments as well. So that was very good. Always fun to have some engagement on that as well. So the old six toe had 21% of the popular vote.
That doesn't seem like a winning number.
No, not so much. But it was ahead of the George Washington card, a contemporary of Bobbles and Ball cards, with 12%. So you were well ahead of it. With 67% of the popular vote, a strong performance, the fork card. There you go. Chuck went up for Spicy Eye, Eric. Spicy Eye and his fork.
We should have him come on and almost like give it like an award presentation speech, like he actually won something. I like to thank everybody.
He's actually won back-to-back weeks.
Yes, that's true.
Because he had the head shirt card too.
Yes.
So which wins between the head shirt and the fork is the question now.
That might be the next logical question. Yes, we'll have to see about that one. But nonetheless, that was the victorious one this week. We thank you all for your vote.
Congratulations on your victory.
Yes, it was good. Now it's been a little while since we had a couple, but the back-to-back weeks, Upper Deck did me right on these. Questionable cards in some cases, but they did do me right on these. I was like, yes. All right. So now we got this week's candidate.
I voted for you last week.
Yeah, it's a fork, man.
It's the first time. It was the first time I didn't vote for myself. I voted for you.
I gotta say though, Eric, you were talking about doing a presentation. Listen, you know what would be the greatest presentation that would work for the content? If the presentation was, all right, it's like, I'd like to thank you guys for voting for it. And Carlos, here's the fork card. Wait a minute, isn't that supposed to be a redemption? The fix is in. I already have it, suckers. You're never getting it now.
I'll just go in the kitchen, grab a fork, and make my own.
Listen, but you gotta listen. I need you to stab somebody with said fork. Give it legitimacy.
It could be work. That guy could work something.
That's what I'm saying. Get on with it. All right, first card here. I'm going to start off with this one. So I think this is 1988 Max. I know it's racing. I assume that's Richard Petty signature.
That is the king.
Yep.
Hey, that's the king.
That's original. That's authentic.
That's right, and that is an autograph that I have. It sits on my desk because he is the king. And when I saw this, the card got my attention in the case at one of the Shriner shows a few years ago. I was walking by, and that caught my eye. The card itself. I then realized it was autographed, and the price was not huge. So I took a risk that the autograph was real because it wasn't going to break the bank either way. And I'm like, I need this card. This card is friggin' incredible, right? I mean, I don't know. It spoke to me seeing Richard Petty straight up and down like that. That's a crazy card, man. So I have yet to get it authenticated because I really don't care that much. But maybe next time Beckett is in the shop, I'll have him throw a sticker on it or see if it's real or not. But I've looked and I think the autograph is real. So
that looks real.
But the card I just love.
So it was just posted. Neil posted a post from X or Twitter or whatever. Yeah. Ryan Sandberg passed away.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
That's unexpected.
This better not take votes away from my card.
Well, it's a little weird because of my card, but anyway.
It better not be a Ryan Sandberg card. Oh, so we're going to believe
no, it is not a Ryan Sandberg card. It is not. I will say, though,
I feel bad for his family, of course, and all the Cub fans.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, agreed. R.I.P. Ryan Sandberg. As opposed to someone on the Friday Live, I have no issue with Ryan Sandberg, so R.I.P. Ryan Sandberg. No doubt. No question. I do have a question about this at the end, but I will reserve it for the end. But otherwise, as a card, I like it. I like the concept. I like the. But I do have a follow-up question, but we'll come back. We'll circle back around to that at the end here. Second one here is a 1980 Topps Cubs card. What is the situation here with the 1980 Cubs card? Is it Bill Buckner in the corner?
I was waiting.
So I had fun and wasted money on Saturday. I bought a big tote of cards at a yard sale. Paid more than I should have, but gave me and the wife about hour and a half or so of enjoyment, going through the box, sorting through things. And this happened to be one that I came across. Now, nothing out of the ordinary, a team checklist, but they normally are a team photo. And either the Cubs just didn't show up for photo day, they don't like each other enough to take the photo. They decided they wanted to all be Carlos's favorite and just go full-fledged floating head. It would be interesting to know the backstory because all of the other teams are actual team photos. The Cubs, they decided, nope, we're not doing a team photo. You're just getting our heads. So I thought it deserved a place in the silly card of the week.
Interesting. Interesting.
That's a lot of floating heads on one card.
It's the only one from the set that I found that was done this way. All the rest were team photo, your normal team photo. So I guess they all missed picture day.
Some crazy facial hairs on them peoples.
Now, I got to say, one of the funny things about this is just looking at it. Like, I'm good with faces in a lot of cases. Now, again, this predates me by 3 years. But even then, just looking at this, obviously I picked out Bill Buckner right away. I saw him there in the corner. I also see Dave Kingman. It's an interesting one.
Bruce Sutter is the only other name I see on here that I even recognize.
Yeah, I don't think the 80 Cubs were particularly good.
Yeah,
I think a lot of those teams were pretty bad. A lot of those teams, because remember they got.
I don't know. It caught my eye, and I was like, "Damn, they didn't like." I thought they all did the team photo, and for some reason, they got all headshots.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I agree with you. That is kind of a weird quirk. Yeah, because Sandberg. Speaking of Sandberg, he doesn't show up until the 83 top set. So basically, at this point, I'm guessing I haven't looked at the record, but I'm guessing the Cubs weren't particularly great there in the early 80s if they're getting Sandberg in 83. And then obviously, a little bit better, obviously, once they start getting some better players, but it's interesting. Interesting. All right, so that's your selection on that one. Now I got one. I actually decided to have a little bit of fun with this, a little irony.
Okay.
I'm going to stay in the realm of vintage.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with 6970 O-Pee-Chee, Phil Goyette. One of the favorite sets of an individual who remained nameless on the screen. And Phil Goyette there, he too is horrified. He's horrified by everything that's going on right now. He's giving us a distant, vacant stare.
He has some nicely combed hair and some blue eyes.
Mm-hmm. You see that, Eric? That's the look of a man who's looking at something that Eric is just about to do with a chocolate stick that would sicken a normal man. But look at Phil Goyette's face. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to make of this situation. I just like that vacant 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, it's quite a look.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
mm-hmm.
I've seen this card many times, and I have noticed that it's a little off.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear what you're saying, and I have felt that way a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm trying to think, do I have his autograph on that?
Maybe. Now, the reason, and by the way, the Chicago Cubs conversation will be cut down. That's the beauty of being the editor. But what I was about to say was, I did have a question, though. The first card, we all agree, is a pretty neat concept, a pretty great, neat idea. I do have a question, though. What is silly about this card?
How many cards do you see with a car crash on it?
I don't think that's, well, I don't, it's an 80, it's the Max NASCAR set. So thematically that's appropriate for them, but I don't think that's silly. I think the Richard Petty autograph is pretty cool with it. I think if they put it in 88 Max card, makes a lot of sense. And they did a good job. I like the photography for what they did because these sets, those Max sets are available pretty cheap. Like I'm pretty sure you can get that. It's kind of junk wax era stuff. But I think if you're going to get something autographed, this is a pretty good choice. I think they made a very solid choice here.
Yeah. Like I said, the card.
I want to put it in the spirit of engagement. So the reason I'm asking this question, the spirit of engagement, I will allow it because I think it's a neat card. So for the purpose of it, why not? But I want to ask the chat in terms of the comment section. Do you consider this a silly card? It's a little bit of a concept, but I don't know if this is a silly. It's a neat card. I think it's an interesting card, worthwhile to have a conversation about. But I don't know if it qualifies as silly. We'll leave it to the people. I'm curious their thoughts on this.
I thought it was, yeah. I hear your argument, but I'm like, how often do you pick up a sports card and there's a car crash on it with a potential death? It's you know you don't see that every day.
But if we ever get Prism Cycling, we could get a Sanderson or tribute set, and almost all the pictures could be potential death.
There was some pretty bad crashes this year in the Tour de France, and thankfully no one died, but many people got hurt and had to abandon.
So I'm going to leave it to the folks in the comments section, of course, the voters. Community posts will be made on the channel where you can all vote, make your selection. You've got the Richard Petty card, you got the Cubs floating head card, and you got the 1,000-yard stare, Phil Goyette.
I always thought he looked a little bit like Fred Gwynn.
Interesting.
Do you know who Fred Gwynn is? He played the father on the Munsters. He also plays the judge in My Cousin Vinny.
I probably know him more for the My Cousin Vinny than the first one.
Yeah, the Munsters. He played the lead in the Munsters. Played the father.
Interesting. All right. So we'll let the people decide. The only true democracy in this world, all the votes count. So feel free to make your selection. I think this will be, Brandon, I think this will be an interesting one this week. I think it'll be an interesting one. It's up a lot to the interpretation of what they consider. I think yours and mine fall under the traditional, I would consider, silly definition. But that doesn't mean the first one can't win, because it could very well sway the masses.
Well, I appreciate Eric sharing that one, because it reminded me to go set a freaking save search for a card I meant to buy, like, I don't know, 2+ years ago. So I just went and added a little save search, because you got to catch them when they're priced realistically or on auction. Otherwise, people price them very expensive. But
nice. I like
I'm gonna play the not spill what you're looking for hand right now.
It's probably wise. That's probably wise. But yes. So yeah. So we've got that on there. And thank you to AMG for supporting the podcast and the channel. Now, real quick, I'll finish going through a couple of comments here because I think some of them play into my thought about the content piece. I want to go back to the live stream. So this past week's live stream, we talked about it there. Zach here said, just got to play back the live to see y'all's reaction to me asking Geoff about Eric. Good stuff. I'm still disappointed. Yes. We were this close to Eric's fandom of Geoff being acknowledged for all of us to enjoy. This close. Alas, the fail. Victor, rookie card specialist, says, like button press, pay up Eric. That's a valid statement. That's fair. Victor's got a good point there. I like this one, though.
Have a talk.
I like this comment, though, Brandon. This was only 5 hours ago, the time we're recording this. Black Box Hobby says, of all the guests to have consistent and reliable Wi-Fi, it just had to be Eric. That's a valid point. The Morel struggled with the Wi-Fi. It was a tough scene.
Yannick couldn't get his to go.
Yeah, it's been a tough scene the last little while. Brandon's was okay. I think Brandon's was fine. So when he visited us,
there were kind of hope. It's like, why couldn't it be me? What,
yeah,
guys.
But look, I did respond to that. I said he appears to have leveraged his like button fortune to good effect. Y'all got to understand, Eric, with what he pays for the like button, Eric is an internet service provider. He doesn't need to connect to an internet service provider. His rolling truck in Manila is just the internet service provider. It's when Eric leaves that everybody else's internet suffers. He gets all the bandwidth to himself. Think about it. So I think it's a valid question that you're asking. I get what you're saying. But I think it makes sense.
Next week's silly card of the week is going to, I think, come out of this Superman set. I'm not going to share it now. I think it's coming out of that Superman set.
We can see the card number.
If they zoom in, they can. By the way, Brandon, I will say I already have next week's silly card of the week as well, and I've got it queued up. But it's good to have at least one in advance. Now, gonna, like I mentioned, to get into a couple of things. So what's funny is this past week, like I said, I mentioned a little earlier, it's been kind of a perfect storm of different things. And when I had a conversation with Neo, Praise the Content Gods episode 2. And by the way, I appreciated that at the very beginning of it, he acknowledged that by getting to episode 2, Neo beat me to the punch. If you guys watched it, literally at the beginning of it, he goes, by getting to episode 2, I already got to episode 2 faster than SGC got to their second podcast episode. And I was like, damn it, I was going to make that joke. It's true, but honestly, if all of you, who are praising Peter Steinberg, you realize the reason it all fell apart is because he never got to episode 2 of the podcast.
Imagine if he had.
Imagine if he had. It would have changed everything. Everything. I'm just telling you. But nonetheless. But yes, so it's very well received. I appreciate everybody that did chime in on it. And it worked out pretty well. But I got to say, coming from it, by the way, a lot of good comments. I did acknowledge them as well. But there were 2 particular ones that I want to note here. So Victor in this one said, great episode, guys. So this is for the conversation with Neo. Great episode, guys. I think you're on to something with these types of videos, Carlos. So I appreciate that from Victor. I will say, though, it's a tough series, though, to have more than the odd episode here and there, because Victor does think about these things. So obviously that was fine for a first episode. We had a lot of fun with that. Neo, though, does actually think about the content side of it. And we talked about a lot of stuff. So if you guys did watch that, we talked about the whole clickbait thumbnails, what things work and don't work. And again, these are just our theories. We're tossing back and forth. We have a little fun with it. And I do chat with Neo on the Discord. Brandon's obviously there as well, so we know. But he does think about this stuff because it isn't his day job, but at the same time, it makes a little side business for him. It makes a little bit of money that he can use for some of these things. So when he does box breaks on there and stuff like that, it's offset by money made by the channel. It also provides certain opportunities, access to certain things, like so he can go to some of these shows and get media credentials, stuff like that. So we talked about some of those aspects of it and kind of how do you balance out, you don't necessarily want this to be your full-time job, but if the opportunities are presenting themselves, what do you accept? What don't you accept? How, all these things. Basically, how do you want to think about it? Because I think, and I stand by what I said on there, I don't think anybody in this space is actually making a full-time living on content creation alone. I think almost everybody, even if you got 1 million sponsors, I think it's a supplement to something else. You're either consulting or you're like a card collector too, and you have a store and business based on that, and then it's a promotional vehicle to it. Or you're a Geoff Wilson and it's the Market Movers thing, and it's our Cards HQ, and it's all this other stuff. And basically it's, it's kind of because of the production values these guys are doing, it's a loss leader. The AdSense is not making up the difference. Where the money is it's basically a commercial for your product. Every episode is an infomercial for your product, whatever that is. When he decides to start up his new repack product, well, what's he going to do? He's going to splash it all over his videos. New repack product, blah, blah. Well, the goal is to be an infomercial. It's like watching the old ShamWow commercial information. What's the guy? The guy's selling you the damn ShamWow. That's the point. The point is for you to buy. That show isn't going to make money until you sell the ShamWows. That's the point of it. And that's how you do it. So when I see this stuff, I don't think anybody in the space is I don't think being just an influencer is necessarily something you can make a living on, but it can be a supplement to something else that you can in turn monetize the business another way. You're probably going to be selling merch, running a store, selling cards, doing all this other stuff, but it can help you. It can build up a brand. It can make you a player in the space. I think it can do that. So those are a couple of things. So I don't know. Did one or both of you guys watch that particular episode, and what did you think?
I haven't gotten to catch it yet. No.
No worries.
I like the part where you talked about me.
We have mentioned you, yes.
So that's the part that I like the most. But
I think I've got to get Eric to do a book report on it. I want to see.
Yeah,
we're no. There's going to be math on the final exam. Let's see.
Yes, you guys did the little section about talking about Geoff, and mentioned me calling him the GOAT and the reaction to that.
Yeah, and how poor Brandon and I were getting caught by shrapnel by your scandalous takes.
I think that's been the biggest shock moment since we've started doing the podcast, and that's been like we're going on 2 years now. I even had the rage moment.
That people watched this and there was a reaction, or just my comment in general?
I think it was the reaction to your comment. Like we have said a lot of mostly scandalous things, right. But I think it was just I think it was the fact that Dustin gave the reaction, and then on his channel, basically speaking of rage bait, and then coming off the heels. By the way, speaking of, Brandon kind of building off a thing, then I was able to do the rage bait episode, kind of explaining that as part of it. I got mileage out of it beyond the original video, and then obviously Dustin got a video out of it, and everyone showered Eric in that comment section with nothing but men of peacedom and love.
Yeah, which I found to be hysterical. But again, not to kind of focus on my stance, but just real quick, you guys did a YouTube show, and during the YouTube show, there was a Jeff Wilson segment. In your thumbnail and on your description, his name was mentioned.
Was
This continues to prove my point. Like him or hate him, he's everywhere. And Sports Cut Dad did another video about him. Everyone is just, he is the center of this hobby universe, and everyone's just traveling around waiting for him to do something so they can then make their own fame off of him. And
now, Eric, don't downplay this. Don't downplay this, because in the very same video that you're talking about, I also suggested, and Neo came up with the kind of the secondary part of it that's brilliant. I said that Dustin should have a Geoff Wilson weekly episode specifically dedicated to him.
I think
Well,
he does.
I'm saying he does in effect. I mean, make it official. Make it like Geoff Wilson Tuesdays or whatever he wants to do. I don't care.
Right. This week,
but
Jeff Wilson reaction.
Exactly. But Neo added the perfect like cherry on top, where of course Dustin's videos are sponsored. What the brilliant thing is that the Jeff Wilson, video of the week. What if the Jeff Wilson video of the week was sponsored by Jeff Wilson Market Movers? He literally just pays Dustin to cover him once a week, and I'm like, wow, chef's kiss.
But you can't even get mad at Dustin because he's not the only one doing it. Everybody's doing it. Everyone reacts to this guy, no matter what he says, positive or negative. So, I guess on a semi-serious note, I do wish that if you or anyone is going to have a serious conversation about what I said after the humor, which of course there's plenty, make sure that my point is made. It's not, just, I think he's just a darling and he is the GOAT and I just love him.
And that'll be clipped.
Yeah.
Go on.
That's not the message. So, I was waiting for the part where you said, but seriously, his point is this, and, there's something to his point. So I was kind of waiting for that, and it didn't come. So,
no, Eric, I said, wait, specifically, if you go back and listen, maybe you need to replay it a couple more times. Specifically, I said, while I understood where his point was coming from, and then we talked about it, and then we made fun of it, of course. Literally, this is what I'm saying. But I said, there's some points to some of it, but he took it in one direction, and which is what happened on that episode. Is like we were just sitting there, wait, where's he going with this? And we're just sitting there kind of watching it develop, and I was like, okay, I get where he's going with this. But it was much funnier the way it worked out.
Stand by it. I still compare him to Howard Stern, the king of all media, and like him or hate him. But yeah, the reaction to it, the whole reaction to it was silly, and obviously many people didn't listen to what was said, and they just jumped on it because they have very strong feelings about this guy one way or another.
Well, that's where I said specifically that was a perfect case study, and a lot of people reading the headline.
Yeah,
because they didn't, and I said the people that actually watched it, they were like, okay, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get where you're going with this. Like, the people that actually watched the original source material, I think got additional context from it, and we were able to play off of that. But I also appreciate, Brandon, that Eric is spending a lot of this time deflecting us from the end of the episode. Brandon, you got to watch this because it's brilliant. Because I cracked the Dallas Card Show heist, and I think I know who did it, and his name rhymes with Derek. I brought this to Neo's attention that I have a theory.
I got blamed for a lot.
I think someone whose name rhymes with Derek may have been more involved than he lets on. Much like O.J. Simpson trying to find the real killer on the golf course. He said that, they will be caught certainly within short order, yet to this very day, Brandon, not caught.
Yeah. That example right there, and the amount of stuff that was taken, and the level of stuff that was taken, shows just how the space in general just brushes it off, forgets it, moves on. It's like
Yep.
it was such an insane thing that happened. It could have continued to happen at other shows,
Mm-hmm.
but
Carlos made all my
but yeah,
points.
it's just business as usual, like another day in the hobby. To your point though about like the content and everything and this space and like making it a full-time living or whatever, there's a couple things I've learned, oddly enough, from the other channel I created in the reselling space. And I haven't even done a video over there in over a year now. Part of the reason is that space where there's a lot going on in it. It was obvious and it kind of awoke me to you have to center your content pretty much around one topic. You can't like do a video like, I'm going to use that space as an example. I can't go out to a sale and record the sales and stuff one video and then the next video expect to talk about a random topic and then the next video talk about what's sold and everything else because you have to find your audience. And most people aren't going to be interested in all of those things. So you're going to bounce around where you might have a strong video one moment, the next time these people, the people aren't going to be interested. I think that's part of where a lot of content creators suffer in cards because there's so many different things you can do a video and talk about, or show cards or mail days or open boxes or whatever. And that's why, like yourself and myself, we don't kind of have one path. We like to kind of spread out and do various things. And that's why we kind of see our numbers. I know where my channel was built. I know where the foundation was, where it was built, and I know what videos would get the most interest, and that was the SGC news. Like
Mm-hmm.
it that was the foundation where it built. That's where the audience came from. A lot of the other stuff, I understand if it doesn't get watched because I haven't built that audience for that topic or whatever. So it's interesting how the algorithm works and all of that. And I've heard it said that YouTube identifies what kind of content it wants you to create. And when you do that, it'll push it out. But if you do something it doesn't want you to do, it doesn't always do as well as you expect it to. And I think that's 100% true.
Yeah, I think also another part of it, like one of the things we talked about, is that yes, what you're talking about makes is a lot of the way it ends up falling, but another piece of it is that the individual itself also dictates those trends. Because one of the challenges, and I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm saying one of the challenges, and that's what I was going over with Neo in that conversation. I said, because my channel leans so heavily into long form, that can work for some people. But if you notice,
Hmm.
even in this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. In the course of it, I will try to put some timestamps in there to the best of my ability. But sometimes it's tough because we may interweave in topics, but I will usually try to incorporate a couple of timestamps in there for folks. So you people can check in the description. Oftentimes I'll try to like summarize because sometimes there's so much stuff. I try just to give a really high level summary and I'll put like a little timestamp and then another piece and then I'll put a little timestamp so that if somebody's really keen on focusing on a certain thing, I am giving you that option. But a lot of times it just kind of flow. It's a conversation that is flowing from one thing to another. We'll have some break, but the break isn't always a natural because maybe somebody references something again in a second, and how are you going to timestamp that? It becomes really difficult. But also, long form is tricky. If I do a video on one topic and I spend 10 minutes talking about it, that is straightforward, like beginning, middle, and end. One time, one topic. I'll talk for 10 minutes, make my point. You agree, you disagree. You engage on it, you don't engage on it, and we're done. That's very straightforward. But if you've got a thing, the Friday live stream is its own beast. It's the waves of the river. It'll change directions. We'll be in Cinnabon pancakes 1 second, and then we'll do Peter Steinberg leaves SGC, and then all of a sudden Eric's talking about Emmanuel in space.
No,
I have
Eric.
a question for you because
About Emmanuel in space. Go on.
I'm surprised that you haven't, and I know you do it on occasion here and there, but I'm surprised you haven't taken some of like your lives and some of the topics that get seriously discussed in there
Mhm.
and clip them to make standalones.
Yeah, the
To
old
where
lecture.
like
Yeah, I've done
to
a
where
couple of those. It's tough sometimes figuring out which segments were. Sometimes I'll look at it and go, to be honest, Brandon, it comes down to one of the things that you and I talked about. This isn't my job. But I
right.
agree with you. Like there are certain topics that honestly, as a standalone piece, you could pull that out and just say for these 15 minutes, we talk about XYZ. And you can just have it as is. And I have done it in the past. And some of them do okay. But it's one of those things where like sometimes it lose sometimes because it's not such neat segments.
Hmm.
Sometimes the cutoff, the beginning cutoff and the end cutoff are a little awkward because we don't necessarily transition smoothly from one topic to another. It's not like a hard cutoff. If I had a hard cutoff, sometimes that would make it easier. So these are the challenges, and I think about stuff like this. Believe it or not, I do think about that stuff. But then I also remember one important thing, and this was a big topic that we did discuss in that conversation. I said, okay, how much more effort am I willing to put forward? Because if you put a little bit more into production values, you do a little bit of time to create those excerpts, maybe some YouTube shorts if Eric says something particularly scandalous, but all those things can help. All of those things, but it is going to take me a little bit more time, a little bit more work. Okay, but and that's the challenge, the question that I put to Neo. I go, you have been able to build a certain amount of success to build your channel because he is close to 20,000 subscribers. That's very good. And his baseline of views for a lot of the views are a couple of thousand views. Some videos will take off a little more, et cetera, and all that. That's very good. So he's got decent AdSense to it. He does have sponsors, so they contribute towards it as well. It's a nice little supplemental income in addition to his, he's not paying his bills with it. So it's nice to have it and do whatever you want with that. Could you make it bigger? Absolutely. You could make it bigger. The question though is how much more work is it going to take to make it how much bigger? How much more energy are you willing to spend on it? I will tell you, just in spirit of transparency, that video I did with Neo, it was me and him just BSing and riffing off of each other for just under 2 hours. It's the stuff we do here. Like I do this all the time. I can tell you, Eric, it's like 600 views. Whatever. That video's made more than $10. Now imagine how many hours of live streams we've done. And by the way, the live streams will make a couple of dollars, but by the hour. If you really think about this, by the hour, it is hilarious. So that made more money. And again, I'm not worried about AdSense, but that one conversation with Neo, when we were done, the editing was minimal. I didn't really have to do any crazy editing to it. We had already had the conversation. Basically, I just skimmed through just to listen. I fixed one little piece in there, and if you have a keen eye, you'll catch it. I did fix something in there. But for the most part, it's pretty much from beginning to end. You can run through the whole conversation, and then I put my little end scene thing at the end with the little spots there where you can go to the next video. I already have that set up on my Final Cut Pro. I can literally just drag and drop it. It's in, done. So my editing is minimal. Upload it and we're done. That made more AdSense than like 2.5 live streams. That's like 400 hours, Eric. 2.5 live streams. Dear God. Just imagine by the hour. But how? So now think about, could you make it bigger? Absolutely. How much bigger you got to make it worthwhile though? Okay, you 10x it. That conversation gets 6,000 views, which would be really good. That'd be amazing. Okay, $100. That I'm not complaining. I wouldn't complain about that. But like,
Right.
okay, how much more energy do you want me to put in? like, how much more energy? Like, am I gonna have to make it 4K? Like, what do I have to do? Like to do that?
Time is money.
Yeah.
And effort is money. And $100 always sounds great, but if you put $300 worth of time and effort into it and you get 100, you're still down.
Yeah. And that's a challenge because a lot of times the math doesn't work. In terms of energy, so could you up production values? Yes. Could you get better equipment? Yes. Could you edit it in a certain way to try? But understand, editing, the more complex the editing effort is, the more time it actually will take. Especially if you're taking a long form piece. And then, okay, but take an extra down. Okay, cool. But then you still got to edit it. You got to go into it, pull this clip, do this thing, and then create it. Okay. And then you want to make the thumbnail and give it something that somebody wants. There's got to be a little bit of deliberation to it. My thumbnails are relatively low energy because it's like I don't have all day to sit there and just agonize over that last couple of percentage points to really push that thumbnail over the top. Because again, that's still time. All of these things are time.
You use one of the programs that like gives you like rates the content or whatever, right? or the thumbnail and the title and all that.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. I've never used one of those. Well, I have used one of those in the past, but I haven't used it in a long time. I turned it off.
Okay, I knew you had something on there.
Yeah, like with the SEO thing, whatever. I was using
Yeah,
that for a long time, but I paid a little bit of attention to it, but I wasn't really focusing on it too much.
I've never used any of it. Like I've just, and I guess maybe that's a fault of
Yeah.
sense, but
There is good information there. I will say, like if you actually go into the information it provides you, there is good stuff in there. But again, I'm back to what I said a moment ago. Could I optimize it more? The SEO, the thumbnails, all that. Yes, totally. How many more views would that get you, and how much more time do I have to put into it in order to do that? If I increase views by 30%, how much more time did I have to do to, by the way, 30%, that'd be pretty good. But here's the question: how much more energy did I need to do in order to get that 30%?
yeah,
Do I have to
I
double the
mean,
amount of time I'm spending on this? Because that's not a great ratio to energy to gain on that.
I've always just done it. I've never really had a schedule. I've never, yeah, it's just been an extension of the hobby. And I think that's what
Exactly.
a lot of people do it for.
Exactly.
It's just an extension. And then you have the ones, there are people out there that get pissy because some people may do better and they're wondering, why they're not or whatever. But it, at the end of the day, it's just it's just the extension of the hobby. That's all it
Mhm.
is.
But like I said, it'll play into. So now I'm going to shift over the conversation into kind of one of the other things that I was talking about, where I said all that extra effort that you could put in that could increase the numbers and do all that. Well, this past week, I would say, actually, I accomplished that without doing that. And that's why I say, like, you can do all these other things that can indeed help with it. Sometimes it's timing, a little bit of timing, a little bit of luck, hitting on just the right wave of thing. Because if you catch a wave, I'm not a surfer, but if you catch a wave, that the wave is doing a lot of the work. You just have to kind of ride it. So your job at that point is just to get on and just stay on the wave, and that can happen. Real quick thing though, I want to make sure I don't miss out on this because again, Eric is skirting responsibility as far as we know, and like I said, right at the very end of it, I may have cracked the Dallas case. And
Oh,
one of the comments here was talking about this. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC
oh,
says
good God.
so wait, Eric is actually an evil genius capable of flawlessly pulling off $1 million heist and not a guy who rides his bike into trees? Because Carlos responds, hashtag the long con. Don't be fooled. Don't be
Yeah,
fooled.
I still say, and because,
Kaiser Soze.
yeah, exactly. um, um, you were, you made all my points. You're accurate in all my statements regarding this, the heist, in your conversation with Neo that I thought it would be solved within 2 weeks. I thought the FBI would get involved due to the amount of money that was stolen and value. The video in pictures, I thought this was open and shut. And I thought they'd have these guys within 2 weeks. And here we are all this time later. And not only have they not caught him, people have forgotten all about this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and how many other people are even bringing it up still? I mean, here we are talking about it, but I mean, do you think this pops up in conversations and other podcasts? I don't think so. I think it's long forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this was a major, major theft. That put a yet another. I think maybe that's why, because there's so many. Another black mark on the hobby, on the fun this is supposed to be. Reminding everybody that the majority of this is all about money. Because why would you steal if it wasn't all about money, right? If that's why you steal stuff, because it's about money. So, um, yeah, this is just it befuddles me. I'm befuddled
He's
that
befuddled.
that this is just been swept under the rug. I feel so bad for the victims, the owners of the cards that had this happen to them. Um, hopefully they had some kind of insurance, but insurance doesn't want to pay out on anything. Get into a car accident and they give you $1,000 for your car, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with that? I can't buy a new car with $1,000. So, um, Yeah, I just, and listening to it, it kind of all came back to me, and I started getting angry. Like, how in the world has this been? How has this just disappeared?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
But the thing is, that's I touched on the rationale. All of it came from a very ironically, all of it came from a very logical place. I just said the majority of people. I've been at too many card shows. I've been in this business, industry, hobby, whatever you want, for too damn long. The person beside you, somebody could stand beside them in a full body clown costume, and they still wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup. People are not observant. They're not paying
and
attention, and they don't care
I've
about anything
always
except what's in
agreed
front
with
of them.
you, and I've always agreed with you on that point. What I was hanging my hat on was that these guys knew what to grab. Therefore, they're hobby intelligent. Therefore, they interact with other people in the hobby. They buy things from dealers. They sell things to dealers. They go into their local card shop on a regular basis. And I really thought that when the pictures and videos came out, the people that they have done business with over the years would go, "Hey, that's John Smith. I've done business with him a bunch of times, buying stuff from him, selling stuff to him. He comes in twice a week to the shop, whatever." Because you have to have some kind of hobby intelligence to know what to have stolen that day. It wasn't a smash and grab where they smashed the case with a hammer, scooped everything up, hoping it was of value, and threw it in a bag and ran. Okay, if you're going to talk, can you turn your volume on?
Yeah, you got to mute yourself.
You're forgetting one piece of the puzzle here.
What's that?
All of the cards had big fluorescent colored stickers with prices on them
Okay.
in the cases.
Yeah, with a little bit of casing and just looking around, because it's a Dallas card show. So if you're there at the Dallas card show and you can look around, you can get a vibe for who has the quote unquote high end merchandise, especially when throughout the course of a day transactions are happening where stacks of cash are moving back. A lot of people like to deal in cash, right?
Well,
And if you're dealing with a lot of cash, you're seeing stacks of it shifting from one side of the table to the other.
he also keeps his display cases organized.
Mm-hmm.
So all of your mantles were together, all of the Mays were together, the Jackies were together. So it was basically a couple of cases, and all they had to do, allegedly, was figure out which Zion case or whatever that those cases were put into, and that's your target. Because you can just sit there and browse, 20,000, 125,000, 30, like it starts adding up pretty quick.
Yeah.
These are the jackpot.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about this, I understand Eric's point, but I'll throw this out like as a simple thing. If someone was going to, just as an analogy, if someone's going to rob a jewelry store and the jewelry store in question has, watches. Well, to know jewelry, carats, cut, all these different things, nuances about diamonds and things like that, and different levels of gold, and you could get right in the weeds and really learn the intricacies of this and figure out what kind of jewelry would be easier to sell or move, all that stuff. Or if they happen to sell watches like that, you just go to the Rolex case. You don't need to know exactly all the different models of Rolexes, but you know that if you've got a case full of real Rolexes, you go see a couple of day dates. Those are all, gold, platinum, different precious metals and all that. Very high end, very expensive. You don't need to know too many intricacies. Well, you don't need to have a deep hobby knowledge to know Mickey Mantle. Okay, I've heard of that guy. This person. And again, if you've done even rudimentary, you could do a 5-second chat GPT Google search and figure that piece out. A 52 Mantle is not that hard a thing to figure out. It's in the showcase. The Jackie Robinson, the Hank Aaron, all that. So I get it, but I don't think the level of sophistication was required that much. Again, I speculated back then. I speculate now. If there's a private buyer somewhere out there, it is Kaiser Soze. Poof, he's gone.
Yeah.
Because then they're out of the cases. As soon as they're out of the cases, the serial number is no good. And yeah, does that look similar to the one though? But again, that assumes someone was paying close enough attention to the individual cards to know what they would look like, the nuances of certain, I think the rank and file hobby already forgot about it weeks after, days after the show was done with all the coverage, and that's with mainstream media coverage.
Yeah.
But there's no nationwide manhunt looking for some baseball cards. Nobody's going to put that energy into it. That's why I say the longer it went, the easier it became.
You know, we know that the FBI actually has a sports memorabilia, you know, section of the bureau to, you know, and they've busted, things like this in the past, and other different, con stuff in the hobby. So I honestly thought they'd be all over it because of the value, and they'd be like, got video. We got video of them committing the crime. We got video and still pictures of their faces. I gave them 2 weeks, and I don't know if I feel stupid about it, or ignorant, or naive about it. I feel angry about it.
I was going to ask her, are you not sad? Or are you just disappointed?
Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in the FBI.
Could have done better.
And I think I'm going to call Kash Patel, the head of the FBI now, and I'm going to be like, Kash, you need to stop everything else that you're doing, and I want you to focus on these cards, and I want you to get these guys and get the cards back. And he'll go, oh, okay, and I think that will happen within 2 weeks.
Oh, good. I think what's going to happen, Brandon, is I think Eric will do that, and then I think he'll go to the golf course on the off chance they happen to be there. He will be there like OJ before him. He will find those robbers. He will seek them out himself. He will search those country clubs. No golf course stone shall be left unturned.
I never thought about this until we were just sitting here talking about the FBI and everything.
How they don't have Eric on file already, or why they aren't questioning him? Go on.
No. How? Okay, we had the video, we had the picture, and we had all that, right?
Uh-huh.
Didn't they say that one of the individuals was stacking chairs literally for hours to scope everything out?
Yeah, well, he was literally on the video, yeah. Yeah, they were casing the place for a while, yeah.
Was he wearing gloves in the building stacking chairs? Because if not, then why in the hell haven't we had any fingerprints pulled?
Because they don't care about sports cards, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe
that would have been simple.
I don't know.
Listen, Columbo and Columbo too. Get on the case and see if you can recover it.
Like I said, I will be contacting.
Well, it's been a year now. Those chairs got a lot.
It has been, yeah. The longest it's gone, yeah.
I'm going to be contacting the head of the FBI shortly. Maybe after we're done doing this, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Eric is on the case. I feel better already. So what I was getting, so part of that, like I said, that conversation was fun. I threw that in at the end for the conspiracy folks. I thought it'd be fun just to toss that in at the end. I said, all right, Neil, what's your theory? And why is it Eric? I've just needed to make sure we covered that piece. But I think the funny thing about it, though, is obviously that was one of many topics we talked about. But I think it was just funny that this was illustrative. Going back to what we talked about a couple minutes ago, you could put in better. The question I asked Neil, I said, so is the answer better production values? Is the answer better thumbnails? Is it better all these? Could those things help? Yeah, they could. But I think there's a limit to how much they help, because I think our ceiling in this niche is lower. So like, even if you became a big channel in the space, you're still a small channel in YouTube parlance. So I'm sitting there like, well, how much energy is it even worth putting in? And Brandon this week was like a perfect example of this. This channel is smaller, but it's bigger than some and smaller than some as well. It's kind of in that hovering range. But the thing is, what I find is that what happens is certain waves will hit at certain times. It's not about the thumbnail, because I'm using Canva for all these thumbnails. My template is very similar to it. And what affects it is the topic. The most watched, most listened to version of this podcast was when we talked about the sports care therapist. It was a good topic. It was a sensational topic at the time, but it was also timely. We talked about it at the time when it was a hot topic. We did the Hobbypalooza thing. What that did in a way is it introduced some people to what we had done, maybe who hadn't seen what we were doing before. And then some of them I think came because I noticed some similar names that hadn't been there before showed up on the live stream. Okay, cool. And some of them hung around and decided to watch a couple of videos. And this past week or so, the videos also kind of played into that too, because The live stream itself was good. It was solid. The last episode, we talked about the autograph, fraud stuff that we talked about. It was a good conversation. So the topic was good and the episode was good. But then Peter Steinberg resigns from SGC. I make a video towards the latter portion of the week talking about it. And obviously, it's timely. If I made that same video 2 weeks from now, it's crickets. But in that week, in that moment, when people are actually talking about it, it was an appropriate topic. So obviously I had Peter on the thumbnail and all that. I had the SGC with, the tombstone. Got to have that. That's mandatory. But what's funny about it, and I joke with Neo, I said, what I should have done is if I had the energy, the technology to do it properly, I would have had Peter being Thanos, the little Thanos snap, the fade out. That would have made it look a little cooler, I think, actually. That would have added a little extra. But the point is, it was still an easy topic to talk about. It was an easy video to make, and it was an easy thumbnail to design. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. And it still performed better than a lot of the others. But then Neo had the conversation with Ryan Hogue right around that same time too. So they was perfectly timed. So when I'm talking with Neo about it, yeah, of course we're going to talk about that, but we talk about other stuff. But the point is, good time. And also we're leading into the national. So we can also talk about the national. What's your plans for the national? What's going on with that? Because he's going to making videos about it. So Brandon, all these pieces, these sequence of videos all made sense. They covered different topics that were appropriate for that moment. Well, guess what? This week, we're talking about this right now. I'm going to make a video talking about the national during the course of this week. Even though I'm not there, I'm still going to talk about some of the stuff. But that right there is an easy topic. This upcoming week, this week, that is the topic for this week. Talking about the national 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, pointless. There's no reason to do that. But this week or so, yeah, it's appropriate. On the Friday Live, shock of shocks, Eric, we're probably going to reference the national. We're probably going to bring some people that may be at the national to talk about it. But it's appropriate. While they're there, while it's going on, yeah, talking about it makes all the sense in the world.
Well, I'm interested in one thing and one thing only, and that is the amount of body odor at the national.
I think we need, we did the hockey playoff predictions. We've done the NFL predictions. I think we need to create the prediction of what will be the most popular topic coming out of the national. And all the viewers, listeners in about 8 months, comment below and give us your thoughts. What will be the hot button topic coming out of the national?
Whatever Beckett does.
Ooh.
Or doesn't do.
Well,
or tries to do and then backs up on.
Yeah. Because
it doesn't even have to be corporate wide.
They have
you're talking about a heist.
Fools of themselves at the national in the past, and I look forward to it every year to see what are these idiots going to do this time.
See, the national, the last one I attended, I happened to get to be witness to the glory that was the Beckett foolery, that nobody knew what the hell was going on, including them.
Including
it
Beckett.
was pretty glorious. It was pretty glorious, though.
It was really awesome. It was the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute fools. Dopes.
So bottom line, I will we'll do a quick national thing right here at the tail end because obviously appropriate with this week. But I'll just put a cap on this and I'll get your guys' thoughts on it. So like I said, this week to me was illustrative of exactly what I was talking about riding a wave in terms of just a combination of stuff. It wasn't one thing. It wasn't like one topic, one specific thing hit. It just happened to be, we got a little carryover from an event that we participated in. Happy to do so. It was for charity, all good. But in turn, it got a couple of additional people to just check it out. But we had our usual Friday Live. We had some fun with it, and obviously people enjoyed it. This past live stream was a really good one. Like, there was very active chat. There was a lot of stuff going on, which is always what we're looking for. It's always good. But we also did have some stuff to talk about. We talked about our silly stuff, but we did talk about it. So when you've got a certain topic that hits just at that moment, that's why I use the sports care therapist thing as an example. That was kind of a one-off thing. But in the moment, it was a thing that a lot of people were like, what the heck happened there? That was weird. And the whole sequence of events, how that went down. I don't think it's the fancy thumbnail. I don't think it's fancy editing. I don't think it's having the video in 4K. I think if you say or are able to present something that will resonate with people that they're interested in hearing about in the moment, I think that carries more when the moment is right. I think just happened where Neo and Dustin kind of built their thing on being like almost daily news. The thing is they covered everything. So if you didn't care about all the stories, you didn't have to watch every episode, but if you cared about a couple of them, you'd probably tune in, check it out, and then maybe while you happen to be paying attention otherwise. I guarantee you, most of the people that were looking at clicking at SGC Pete Resigns videos probably watched more than one. So they were just trying to get different angles on it. But again, 2 weeks from now, make that video and see the crickets you get. Because they're going to move on to the next thing. It's going to be whatever the next. But in that moment, for that little window of time, Brandon made a couple videos on it. I assume they did okay for you. I don't know what your numbers look like. I assume people were interested, at least engaged with it, comments wise.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't as
Yeah.
strong as a lot of my SGC videos, but
Sure.
I also had kind of a quirky thumbnail, so
Yeah,
it.
but I also think it was a timing thing. You weren't the first, second, or third out of the block. You had absorbed a little bit, had your own take on and twist. But I think if you were first out of the block, there is an advantage to that, because literally,
Yeah.
if you're first out of the block with whatever, that you will get a boost based on that for sure. And Neo even mentioned the Dallas Card Show heist thing that Eric may or may not have been involved in, allegedly. Neo he was basically first out of the block with his video. He did the story. He recorded it. He was trying to make a judgment call whether he wanted to record the video right at that moment or not. And he decided to record the video. And because he decided to record the video, it just so happened to hit. And that happened to be a very strong performing video for him. I think he said he got like 30,000 views on it. It was like a crazy video that just happened to take off. It might have been Dallas or it might have been something else. I forget. No, I think it was Dallas one. I think that's the one he was talking about. But regardless, he just made the last second call. So as opposed to Eric just do it in the morning, he decided to record it the night before and set it to just go instead of doing it in the morning. As a result, he was one of the very first ones out there with it, and people clicked on that one first. And then the snowball went downhill and the snowball got bigger. It's timing. It's a little bit of timing, a little bit of luck, and just happened to hit on the right thing at the right moment.
Right.
I guess overall the video didn't perform bad. Now that I was looking, because you know how it ranks them out of 10 or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
It got a 3 out of 10, but the two
That's not
above
bad.
it was
That's solid.
the two above it was the video I did when I was talking about the end of bulk submissions, the bulk submission discount, and
Yeah,
that I
which
wasn't
is
going to be
which
doing
is a
anymore.
big story at that moment. Yep.
And then I did a follow-up video on that with the burning building and the clickbaity title of the end of SGC, my thoughts, discussing all of the people who were, doom and gloom, SGC's gone, they're not going to last, blah, blah, blah. That was number 2. And then the Peter video is number 3. So it fell in line.
Yeah, exactly. But look, going back to what we talked about a little earlier, that was kind of the reason I posed the question. Okay. The SGC Pete video, the title is Death of SGC ? SGC Pete resigns. Brandon, what do you think would happen if I just wrote Peter Steinberg resigns? By the way, that would have been the video topic was exactly the same. Like I could have used the same thumbnail, Eric. I could have said, what if I just write Peter Steinberg resigns?
8 out of 10 people have no idea who Peter Steinberg is.
Yeah. But if I say SGC Pete, a few more people know. If I say Death of SGC ? At the beginning, it was intentional. But
now 100% of the hobby that watches YouTube videos knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
SGC, I know what that is.
Yes.
But SGC Pete, I don't, now you're dealing with half, and Peter Steinberg resigns. Yeah. It's 8 out of 10 people are going, I don't know who the hell.
But when I combine 2 of those things now I make sure I've captured the bigger umbrella. So, but Eric, that's all it was. It wasn't rocket science. It wasn't magic. It wasn't anything. The visual of the infamous tombstone with the logo on front of it. It was very straightforward visual to get. Like, you get the idea. Like, I didn't have to reinvent the wheel out there, and it did well. But again, that topic won't matter next week. It just won't. It's a timing thing then too. So it's not just one thing. It's a couple. Now, kind of playing into that though. So obviously with the National this week. And Brandon brought it up, and for the comments section, that's really good. I'd be interested in hearing what they think the big story going to come out of it is. Let me pose the question to you guys then. I'm going to quickly refill my water here, but what do you think the story coming out of it is going to be? By the way, I'm extremely disappointed that the weather is not going to be hot enough to test the new AC units. That's a big disappointment for me. Huge. But what do you think? Is anybody? It can be general. Keep it broad. Is anybody going to announce anything that will stand out, that will make people interested? Will Eric's crime syndicate strike again? Like, what is the story coming out of the National? What do you think it would be?
I'll let you go first, Eric.
Yeah, I think there will be, unfortunately, there will be thefts. There always are. So there will be stories of, did you hear that so and so got robbed, and you know, it was a Mickey Mantle rookie card or something like that. They'll suck. Um, there'll be more announcements like Jeff Wilson's repack stuff. More people are trying that. That's I think that's the new, the new the new hot thing, the new hotness. Even though repacks have been around forever, but for some reason, more and more people are kind of heading in that direction because I think they ended up breaking so much. They have just rooms filled with cards and they don't know what the hell to do with it all. So they got to get rid of it somehow. And it's not all quote junk, right? It's not all just base card junk. It's mid-grade stuff, maybe lower grade stuff, but it's still better than base card shit. So they got to move it. Well, the easiest way to move it is throw it in repacks and clear out your room and make a couple of bucks off this stuff that is sitting around making no money for yourself, and then throw one or two really decent things in there and let the gamblers gamble. So I think you'll see another merger or another announcement of a big company going with repack stuff, because I think for the last 5 years, people have just filled up their rooms with mid-grade stuff and they can't move it. And this is the quickest, fastest, easiest way to move it, is get the gamblers to gamble. So between, yes, there will be a theft, more repack announcements. And I bet you there'll be some type of merger announcement. The hobby's still very healthy. It's, a lot of money still in it. I don't think we're having a downfall by any means. But obviously we are not where we were pandemic time. We've lost a lot of companies. There's been mergers over the years. And slowly, very slowly, we've taken, it's another year past the pandemic highs, and we're one step, lower every year, and companies have to adjust. So you'll probably hear some type of merger, or, or what's the other word I'm looking for? Team up. Maybe not an actual corporate merger, but a team up to work on a project together, or something, because every year we move forward from the high, where things are going to change. So yeah, so that's what I think. I think look for those things. Another big theft, merger, and more repacking news, because I think that's how people are going to clear their houses out.
I have kind of an off the wall theory, but before I go, Brandon, why don't you go?
So I'm going to go big right here. And I'm going to bring this back up. We're not going to let it die off quite yet. I think the show will be targeted by the aforementioned by Eric FBI. They've had time to do some research, to do some investigating, and they might have some ties to some dealers that may have product that was obtained through the forgery individual. And they're going to peer their heads into the National and shut some booths down.
You're saying raids. You're saying a couple raids.
Yeah. U-Haul trucks of stuff getting taken out.
All
No,
right.
it wouldn't surprise me if that happens, but who knows? And the one that I want to see if there's anything from, just because I think it's deserving of it. Obviously, it's been said that Backyard's going to be there. If the one fellow is there, I think somebody needs to let him know he's wrong.
Yeah, let him know he's wrong. That's a good way of putting it. Yep, that's perfect.
Our legal department is going to look at that one a little side-eyed and go like, as a man of peace, Brandon speaks.
Yeah,
I said it in a polite way. I didn't say that there had to be any physical.
way.
Just
I think
let
he
him
said it.
know he's wrong.
I think he's in. I think you said that perfectly. I think you said that absolutely perfectly. Good for you.
Indeed. So
it doesn't even have to be at the show. They don't sleep at the show.
Somebody somewhere needs to let this man know that he made an error in judgment. Yes. Okay. So.
Wow. Just wow. Anyway, I'm going to go in a different direction than Brandon's. You know what I decided, Eric, would be most interesting here? I did mention it's National Week, like Shark Week, but lamer. I think the funniest thing here for this year in the National would be if, in contrast to Fanatics Fest and a lot of stuff that came out of that, what if this is the year the National is like, they have the people there, they have the pomp and circumstance and the usual thing, but coming out of it, no major announcements. It's just stuff happen. And again, the weather isn't super crazy, so the air conditioning systems don't really come into play. The Wi-Fi works fine enough. People are living. What if, Eric, what if the headline coming out of the National is meh?
Well, to your point, and I was gonna throw this out, but I didn't want people to think I was crazy. I've not heard anybody talking about the tickets or the sold out packages or any of that stuff. What if the attendance is down? I don't know, the past 6 years. It's the lowest it's been in the last 6 years.
Well, what I'm thinking, to explain what I'm saying here, what if it's to your point, like, I genuinely believe that there will never be another card show of that size again without some kind of theft or whatever. But what if it's relatively petty? Somebody steals a couple of cards here and there, like stuff that you're going to see it at the expo. You're going to everything, everywhere and everywhere where you've got a card show of that size.
Downtowns.
But nothing that goes above like a level where it pops off the page is what I'm getting at. Like a little bit petty theft here and there, unfortunate, but not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Any and all announcements are very straightforward. Nothing too crazy. Obviously, there'll be people doing lives from it. There'll be all the videos and the content. But I know on the YouTube space, there's a bunch of people that aren't going. Some of the vintage guys already got their fill in Strongsville. So from their purpose of it, they got that hangout and whatever. So Strongsville maybe becomes a hangout for them. They make a choice. They say instead of trying to go to all these big shows because there's just so many, they'll pick and choose. They say, all right, I'd rather just do the Strongsville one. Maybe I'll go to the Philly show, or maybe I'll go to a Dallas show, or maybe I'll go to Chantilly or whatever. Do that and one other big one, whatever. And there you go. There's my film. Good enough for me. It's not that the attendance goes way down. It's that what if the attendance is not a new record, but decent? In line with the last couple, not a new record, but just decent. It's okay. No major incidents, no major announcements, nothing. But we come out of it, like people still do their videos and whatever. But in terms of headlines, I just classify it as meh, meaning like, yeah, the National happened. What if we come out of it and there's really no major story? It's just the National happened.
I think that the first thing that the organizers would have to do is to have an honest look and do math and calculations and the whole thing over how has Fanatics Fest affected the National. I understand, and we don't need to go into it all over again. They're very different.
They are.
However, they attract many of the same people. Joe Average in this hobby, maybe, because some can and some can't, maybe can afford one vacation getaway card trip a year. If they are choosing to go to Fanatics Fest over the National for that getaway card vacation, hobby vacation, they're paying double by going to New York City in every aspect. They do not have the time off from work. They just pay double going to New York City. They don't have extra funds to then go to Chicago. They really have to take a real hard look at how is Fanatics Fest affecting our bottom line. And then they either need to double down and make the national better than Fanatics Fest, outdo them, dump even more money into the national, bring in even bigger names, have different expos there, have interactive events like they gotta beat them at their own game, because if all you have to offer is sports cards and Pokemans, you're going to continue losing people to Fanatics Fest, possibly.
So here, you just mentioned the word that I wanted to ask, because this is another fun one. What will the ratio of sports cards to Pokemon be at the National, which is supposed to be 4 sports cards, but we know damn well there's going to be a good bit of Pokemon there. That I'm curious about too.
I think that's fair. I think it'll definitely be an uptick in it. But like I said, I think what's going to be interesting is I'm just throwing it out there as just a theory and a question. Would it be a bad thing? So let me pose the question a different way, because I want the comment section to chime in on this. I'm just throwing it out there. What if this is the national that there is no massive takeaway? There's a bunch of little things here and there. You're like, whatever, stuff that we can talk. Look, we'll figure out a way to fill Friday somehow. It'll be tough, but we'll find a way. But what if it's just like, yeah, the national happened. Bunch of people went there. Bunch of people bought cards and, good stuff and whatever. They hung out, whatever. But it's gotten expensive. It is a lot of things. And kind of to Eric's question from earlier, what if it's just a really big card show? And it's not an event, but it's just a really big card show. When I was talking to Neo, I said, to me, the Super Bowl, if you want to use the Super Bowl analogy, a corporate, very expensive event, Fanatics Fest is a lot closer to being a Super Bowl than the National is. The National is way more cards. Not even a question, not even a doubt. But I don't think it's a Super Bowl by what we consider Super Bowl. I don't know what analogy you want to use, what you want to call the National then. It's still a big event, a massive event. So, but it's not the Super Bowl to me. I don't know what it is. It's something else, but I'm not sure what that is. But in that case, though, hotels are more expensive. Yes, they're in Chicago and they got a lot of hotels around it, but the inventory's been filled pretty early. So if you didn't get in early enough, you weren't able. Being the nearby is one of the advantages if you've got that there. So it's more expensive. A lot of folks aren't necessarily planning to come. It's going to be in Chicago for multiple years, so that may not be of interest. Once you've done the sights and seeing sights of Chicago and you don't want to do it for the second or third time, maybe you take a year or two off. Again, what if attendance is just good? Not record-breaking, not bad, good. Incidents exist, but they're relatively minor. No big skirmishes, no big fires, no major announcements, nothing earth-shattering, and the show goes off relatively without a hitch. No major complaints, but no major revelations coming out of it. What if the National comes and goes? All right, see you next year. Is that good or bad? I'm just curious. What if we go through it, Brandon, and there's no major crazy talking point?
I'm not going to say it's bad because up until, I would say, the pandemic and the boom and everything, it was basically what you described. It was just a card show, I mean, people go hang out, buy cards, you make a wish list, whatever, and it was the large. It's basically the granddaddy of the card shows. You want to put a title on it. That's essentially what it is. It's the granddaddy of the card shows.
Sure. That's what I say. Like, I'm just kind of curious. Like, and I'll go to you in a second here. That's what I say. I'm just curious. I'm just posing the question. I wonder if this is the year it settles back in and becomes just a really big card show. And I wonder how people would react to that. Because it's been crazy for years now. But what if the momentum reaches a stage where, again, attendance is not bad, Attendance is not record breaking, but it's still very like you look through the turnstile, 100,000 plus people still go through the door. Still a lot. Some of the dealers still make good money. Other dealers still complain, but their prices are too high. Like the usual stuff. Like nothing unusual here. I'm just curious what the reception would be to that if you come out of it and it's like, yeah, the show went off more or less without a hitch, but at the same time, yeah, I don't have
Well,
any memories people have are like more interactions with individuals rather than the show itself.
you also have to take into account Burbank has created a pretty substantial sized show out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You have the Fanatics Fest now in the New York area. It's always been said that kind of the Northeast is a heavy bed for card collecting and stuff.
Mm.
Cleveland was, from what we heard, a pretty big shit show last year. So it might have swayed some of the folks that went to that not wanting to try it again, even though Chicago's a different venue. But I mean, you're in the spot that most people said they enjoy because of the convenience of it. But again, I don't know. I'm with you because I think it's possible. The buzz hasn't felt like it has the past couple of years.
That's what I mean. The vibes that I'm getting going into the show,
Yeah.
Eric, are just kind of neutral. Nothing, not good, not bad, just kind of like right in the middle. And again, I think some folks will go there. They'll have a good time. They'll hang out with folks. I have no question that that'll be the case.
hmm
But I'm just wondering if the headlines coming out of it is just like, huh, yeah, the national came and went, huh, and then we just roll on to the next thing. What do you think?
I think only two things matter. On and you could probably even just say one thing and connect them, but
Oh, peachy.
well, everything's O-Peachy.
I was just saying.
The two things that matter are one, are the and you touched on this already, so I'm kind of repeating a little bit what you said. Are the dealers happy? Did they make money? Was it worth their time and effort to come there, set up, pay the prices, get a hotel, blah 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 blah, and drop the money they have to drop? Was it worth it for them to go? Second, same thing with the promoters. What did they make money? Was it, was the headaches kept to a minimum? And was it worth their time, effort, and their investment? If both of those things are, yep, everything went great. The dealers who traveled all around the world to show up and paid table money and hotel and food and the whole thing, they're all there. The majority of them are leaving happy. Therefore, the promoters are happy. Therefore, the venue is happy. Then that's what you're going to hear. Yep, great show. If either if the dealers, the majority of the dealers like this sucked, either the numbers were down, people didn't want to spend, they kept their hands in their pockets, then you go back to the facility. If the facility has problems, then the organizers they're unhappy, and the customers are unhappy. So it all starts and ends with, are the dealers happy and are the organizers happy? And because if enough time goes by where those two entities are not happy, you no longer have a national card show. Because you have to build it. Last thing, because you have to build it for them to come. And if the dealers aren't coming and the organizers don't want to do it anymore, there's no place for people to go. You have to build it so they will come. And if the people that are building it, it isn't worth their time and money anymore, it doesn't exist. So that will be the story. Are those two entities happy? Yes. Great. See you next year.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to say, to Eric's point a while back about the repack thing, I'm curious to hear how the buying is, because I expect that's going to be a hotbed. Repackers buying cards for products, whether it's Jeff or whoever.
Hey,
We already
BG's promised us $5
he's
million
promised
worth of
5 million.
buying.
Yeah.
5 million.
Um, but another thing, and I don't know if this is, that big of news or whatever, but and I don't even know if they do it, but I think if they don't, it would be something smart. I know ComC normally sets up his shows and takes in submissions and stuff,
Mhm.
and PSA's been really pushing the vault thing, and they have the eBay, the where they're selling the vault stuff on eBay.
Mhm.
I wonder if they have anything set up at their booth for people to submit to the vault, right, like right there at the show, because I think that would be something smart if it's not an option that they're offering to begin, taking in those, because we know that a lot of the convenience, a lot of the people's worry and everything, and why they grade on site and everything else is they don't want to ship and all that. There might be some people that's got some awesome stuff that would want to kind of submit it over there to the vault and then have PSA, put it available or whatever. So
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's been started to be offered. I could be mistaken. I feel like where PSA is set up, that's been part of the offering, but I think it's valid. I think you're making a fair point. I think it's
yeah, I
reasonable
just
to
hadn't
check
heard
in on that.
anything of it, but that could be big for them. Like we might see some new stuff hitting eBay through the vault program. So it'd
Yeah,
be something interesting to see. Or even
I think.
dealers, like to Eric's point, if a dealer had a bad show, maybe they make an option of, saying, hey, put these in the vault. I want to list them up, and so
Yeah, I'm just thinking in this case, like I said, my big thought right now, and this is just based on the feeling I have, based on the way I've been looking at stuff leading into it. I just feel like the national itself will come and go. I think it'll be fine for what it is. Again, I think it's gonna be all right. I don't think it's gonna be any major issue, but I'm wondering what the fallout is gonna be in the couple of months after, because that's what I'm gonna be curious about. Because there's just so many big shows now, and I feel like a lot of
mhm.
the attention has now been divided. Unless there is something stand out, I just feel like it's gonna be just another big show and a procession of big shows, which is not usually what the Nationals used to. But like, there's just so much stuff now. There really is just so many shows, and wallets and attention can only go in so many different directions.
Yep.
So, and I think we're right there where there's enough shows you can be. We always joke about Ham, Florida man, but he's got like a card show every stone's throw in every direction. Like he hits one all the time. And there's a lot of regions in the US where that's true. You can go to a show almost every weekend.
We get
It
them.
doesn't have to be 500 table shows, but
No.
sometimes some of these other ones have stuff because the 500 table shows, if you have them so often, they get picked through. How many times can they find new things? Like it can be 500 or 1,000 tables or whatever, but if it's the same dealers all the time anyway.
But something that we've discussed on the show before, the average collector or whatever hobbyist, we'll call them, most people aren't spending big dollars.
Mhm.
And they have to take that into consideration. If you're going to the National to hang out or whatever, that's one aspect of it.
Yes.
But the costs involved are already hitting you in your wallet. And unless you're going there with the intention of hunting down something that you can't find at a local show, or, you're worried about buying it online and you want to buy it in person, that usually costs a good chunk of money. And
Right.
we've discussed it. Like, most people aren't buying those upper tier dollar amount cards. So the smaller shows, I personally find them better for the hunt of looking for items to add to the collection or whatever, because you're going to have more of that average stuff there.
Mhm.
If it's a young person that's just gotten into the hobby, or whatever, and they're going there to experience it, I'll tell you, it can also be very overwhelming and very tiresome. And
Mhm.
then later, as time goes, it you ain't hitting them boxes and stuff as much. Like,
Yeah.
you start to wear down. So
My posture won't allow it. It would be very uncomfortable to do that for for a little bit. Yeah, it's not something I'm necessarily looking to do, but I think that's fair. No, we'll leave it on that. Yeah, real quick. Is there anything else we want to touch on? Because I think that's a good spot. What I'm gonna in the title is gonna be obligatory national talk. See, we did it. We met the quota. We did it on Nationals Week.
Oh, you even
Nationals.
said it correctly. Nationals.
See, no, Brandon, I'm saying nationals for the people. See, the most scandalous thing coming out of it will be my discussion of the nationals. Carlos is a national. The nationals, Eric. Plural. Let's pluralize it. Just because we can.
It's always
That'll
funny
teach
when
him.
they do that.
That'll teach him. Louis Taint. Nationals. By the grade, not the card. Nailed it. We did it. Oh, hold on, Eric. I don't want to lose out on our YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame candidacy. Bam.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Vintage.
Wait, we both had vintage in the. Is this
Yes.
classified?
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know what to tell you. Vintage. We did it. We hit all the keys on the bingo card, Brandon. Someone out there said bingo. We did it. We nailed it. So
Success.
on that bombshell, we will be back. I'm still debating if I want to do another video related to the Nationals. Not just the baseball team anymore. Now it's a card show. They got a
Screw
card show and
you.
everything.
We are the only nationals.
Listen, I hear all the time about the OGs. There's a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of onlys out here. Regardless, there may be a video coming up on it, but regardless, there will be, for sure, talk on it on Friday. More videos will come up on the channel than the Friday live stream. The longest running episodic, whatever it is, we don't know. And this week is live stream official, under that count, episode number 250 on the week of the Nationals. Exciting.
Before we go, I just want to, kind of shame Brandon a little bit. You with all this big money that you have and buying filet mignon and all that.
I didn't buy it. The wife bought it.
Yeah, sure. You really need to be you're really ashamed of yourself for not bringing your beautiful wife to the Cheesecake Factory and to the Lego store this week. And I want you to think real hard and long about that. Okay.
She messaged you on Instagram.
All I'm saying.
She said she was going to.
All I'm saying is that this woman deserves a little Cheesecake Factory and some Legos. And you need to stop being an ass. That's all I'm saying.
More to come on that on the Patreon exclusive. Eric, part of me wants there to be a Patreon exclusive for no other reason than just to justify this bullshit. That's what I want.
Listen, I'm just saying, take care of your wife. She's a good woman. You're gonna lose her.
You don't want to turn out like Eric, where now he has to fight for his wife's affection with Florida man.
Yeah, so you want her to start dating him? It can happen fast.
Well, he sent a friend request on Facebook.
See,
it happens fast.
That Facebook be dangerous. That Facebook be nuts.
Cheesecake Factory tonight, big boy.
It's crazy.
Ham will be up in her DMs real fast.
Wow. Just wow. On that bombshell. That is this episode of the BIC podcast as it slowly delved into Friday territory. We were scared. We were traversing those waters very dangerously. Nonetheless, here is Eric Sanderson, or you can send all your hate mail to him through his Instagram, or you can join his Jeff Wilson fan club. He has one set up already. It's very exciting. Very exciting. Brandon Bobbles and Ball Cards, formerly known associate of 540 Flips, and I am Man of Peace. Despite the constant attempts of these people to drag us into horrific war. If you are going to the National, you're welcome for taking up some of your valuable time on the way there. Because depending on whether you're taking cars or planes, Brandon, they might need some time. Here's some long-form content for y'all on National Week.
You're welcome.
Indeed. Yes.
And make all of our predictions happen. How about that? All of them.
Yes. That'd be great. That'd be great. If you are attending, we'd like to get some feedback, because obviously next week we can talk about it. But or if you wish, if you are around on the Friday, we do invite some of the folks there who have obviously participated in the chat. You are more than welcome to come on by and give us some boots on the ground, information. Let us know how things are going for you. Did Ken Golden light himself on fire? I am ready to hit the live. I am on standby as we speak. I'm ready. But you can let us know your stories and your tales. Did you find more Bobby Orr Chicago Blackhawks that Eric can have? Are you out there looking for Jumbo Joe Thornton, greatest living Boston Bruin? Because I know someone, Sanderson Orr, who's looking out for that kind of thing. Help this man. Help him. And on that note, we'll leave you on this one. More videos coming up on the channel. Live stream on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The longest running episodic, episode 250 forthcoming Have a good one. We'll catch you in the next one.